Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Mirror Dungeon solo video. Today we'll be going in with LCCB Ishmael, an identity who is probably one of the worst to solo with. When looking at her in a vacuum, she doesn't seem to be that bad. Having Tremor, Rupture, Paralysis, Attack Power Down, and Fragile, she has the potential to be an absurdly good support unit. Unfortunately, she has below average speed, which means she will consistently roll lower than her allies and guarantee that you get no value from her. Fortunately, for the purpose of soloing, that is not an issue, as we don't have any allies. Our problem is one of a much different variety, and it stems from the fact that she is a bullet identity. As of recording this video, there are a grand total of 4 bullet identities in the game. LCCB Ryoshu, Pirate Gregor, Rabbit Heathcliff, and of course LCCB Ishmael. For Ryoshu and Gregor, they don't have any issue with the fact that they are a bullet identity, and that's because they only spend 1 with their skill 3. Heathcliff and Ishmael, however, do not possess the same luxury. They consume an astronomical amount of bullets, making them debatably the most expensive units in the company. This has the unfortunate side effect of having their damage potential fall off fast. Once they run out of bullets, they become virtually useless. We'll return to Rabbit and deal with him at a later date, but for now we are with Ishmael. Luckily for her, she possesses the perfect tool for when any of her identities lack damage: the Ego Wingbeats. Using Wingbeats as our main source of damage would not be viable if not for 3 specific reasons. Number 1, LCCB Ishmael fuels 2/3 of the required Ego resources for Wingbeats. Number 2, we are in the Mirror Dungeon and have access to a variety of useful Ego gifts. And number 3, the best support passives in the game. So let's start off by talking about the support passives. Obviously, there are all of the regulars to support damage and healing, but there are 4 notable exceptions among these. First, we have LCCB Ryoshu. Her passive is absolutely critical for the success of this run, most notably for the first floor boss, but we will get to that in a moment. He gives a little poise for using ammo and gives a bonus 50% damage when you end up using all of it. Second is Lantern Dawn, who has an incredible healing passive. Unfortunately, its actual use is heavily restricted. The identity has to have aggro, which we do, and it only works in focus encounters as that is the only time aggro actually applies. And finally, the most important support passives, Butler Faust and Ring Yi Song. These do the same thing, albeit Yi Song's is more powerful. They heal SP when hitting an enemy with specific status effects. If you are not already aware, having both of these passives at full potential gives Wingbeats roughly a 40% chance to roll heads on every single coin, making it incredibly consistent. Initially, I had intended to use them alongside LCCB Ishmael's skill 3, but quickly found out that they healed SP regardless if you were at max. This meant using anything except Wingbeats first would have them deactivated by the time Wingbeats was used. Now, the main strategy that I employed revolved around collecting very specific Ego gifts, the first of which we already possess, the Red Stained Gossypium. Now, the run you're currently watching is actually my 3rd attempt at this run, and being a little more than fed up with the Mirror Dungeon Fusion RNG, I decided to use the Wish of Stars to gain it instantly at the start. The second necessary Ego gift was one of the new fusible gifts, the Hoarfrost Footprint. These 2 Ego gifts combined with literally any other that applies a lingering status would make both Yi Song and Faust passives online nearly permanently. And that brings us to the first floor of the run, the Unloving, being one of the 2 required floors to fuse Hoarfrost Footprint. It was inevitable we would come here. Unfortunately, without any Ego gifts, we only can rely on LCCB Ishmael's base potential. This is without a doubt the most difficult part of the run, as the margin for error is incredibly slim. First of all, before we entered the fight, we fused Broken Compass with our starting Ego gifts, and found the Rusty Nail on earlier in the floor. These help boost our damage a little bit, but not by much. The first wave we need to beat entirely using only skill 1s. This is the only wave where we do not have a time limit, and because of that we need to preserve our bullets as much as possible. Wave 2, we can use a skill 3 and skill 2 into one of the enemies, defeating him without using the second bullet on the skill 2. Another skill 3 and 2 skill 1s is enough to defeat the other enemy, and the last one is defeated by spamming skill 1s. Wave 3, we can use a skill 3 and 2 skill 1s to defeat another enemy, and one more skill 3 uses up the last of our ammo, which then activates LCCB Ryoshu's passive and kills the enemy. After that, we fully target down each individual enemy, taking them out, letting us move on to the Wave 4. For the final wave, we have to use the Corrosion of Capote, hopefully targeting every enemy. It nukes them for over 50% of their health. With that, it's a simple matter of using every one of our skills to their maximum potential to ensure we have enough damage to actually win. We take Frozen Cries as our reward and head into the automated factory, aiming for the second half of the Hoarfrost footprint. At the shop, we take another required ego gift in Oracle, ensuring we actually have enough ego resources to use Wingbeats. At the first event, we get the single best ego gift we could have gotten for this strategy, Eclipse of Scarlet Moths. Because Wingbeats is required to be the first use skill, it means Scarlet Moths will always use its damage. And because Wingbeats can do upwards of 1,000 damage, Scarlet Moths will do an extra 500 every time we use it. The robots on this floor are not that bad, all things considered. With the smaller ones being weak to blunt damage, we can easily bring them down to 1 HP, triggering the skill check relatively early. With a single use of Wingbeats, we can stagger the big robot. Luckily, we missed a coin early enough so as to not bring him down to 1 HP, and Scarlet Moths detonates him the next turn. Finishing off the smaller robots, we collect the last part of the Hoarfrost footprint, and receive the Torn Bandolier as a bonus. The extra bullet gain provided by this is nice, but as Wingbeats is now permanently online, it does not see very much use. The third floor we choose is Emotional Craving, specifically because both of the possible bosses are weak to Wingbeats. It takes a few resets, but eventually Fairy Longlegs falls to Fairy Queen Ishmael.
교전 시작합니다. 그래요. 그렇게 가만히 있어요. 상처난 고기는 맛없으니까. 방금 어떻게 하신 거죠? 깜짝 놀랐어요. 교전 시작합니다. 그래요. 그렇게 가만히 있어요. 상처난 고기는 맛없으니까.
개체들의 체력이 많이 깎여 나갔어. 괴로워.
We take Nixie Divergence as a reward and pick Insignificant Envy as the fourth floor. Among this floor, we run into a particularly difficult encounter in the form of the dead rabbits. Reason being, we failed a previous event's skill check, reducing our sanity and making Wingbeats no longer reliable. On top of that, they possess a Pierce attack and Rupture, meaning we are consistently getting staggered. Ultimately, the successful run was more than a little lucky, with 3 of them using counters on the first turn. We take very little damage despite getting unlucky with the Wingbeats roll, and on the second turn we corrode both Capote and Blind Obsession, which is more than enough to stagger 4 of them.
배를 버리고 모두 아래로 내려간다. 효과적이네요. 이 방식을 기억하는 게 좋겠어.
저 개체부터 처리하면 편할 것 같아요.
The sanity restoration passives are useful for more than just Wingbeats, as we can recover from the double corrosion without even clashing.
확인 사살.
칼날이 잘 드네요. 아마 그 공격이 약점이었겠죠?
자, 이쪽입니다.
시원하네. 술맛을 돋궈주는 좋은 공격이었어.
교전 시작합니다. 표적 확인. 표적 완전 무력화. 표적.
And with
완전
that, we
무력화.
win and make it to this floor's boss.
나만 믿고 다들 집중해줘. 도움이 될 수 있을 거야.
High speed rip space, meet wingbeats.
교전 시작합니다.
그래요. 그렇게 가만히 있어요. 상처는 고기는 맛없으니까.
방금 어떻게 하신 거죠? 깜짝 놀랐어요.
For the final floor, we choose a certain world and pick up skeletal crumbs at the shop, as well as blue Zippo lighter. We get arrested him and imposed weight along the way before picking up Little and To Be Naughty plushie at the final shop. Now fully prepared to fight Nelly, we head into the final boss. Our trigger finger ready and waiting on the
교전
reset button.
시작합니다.
그래요. 그렇게 가만히 있어요. 상처는 고기는 맛없으니까.
효과적이네요. 이 방식을 기억하는 게 좋겠어요.
제가 도움이 될지는 모르겠지만 노력해 보겠습니다.
교전 시작합니다.
그래요. 그렇게 가만히 있어요. 상처는 고기는 맛없으니까.
칼날이 잘 드네요. 아마 그 공격이 약점이었겠죠?
확인 사살.
승객이 딱콩 한 방 먹였어.
교전 시작합니다.
그래요. 그렇게 가만히 있어요. 상처는 고기는 맛없으니까. 시원하네.
표적.
술
완전
마시고
방금 공격은 좋았어. 이대로만 계속해보면 좋을 텐데.
이 정도면 훈장감. 아, 정정. 임무 완료라고 알림. 교신 끝.
And that's how I soloed Mirror Dungeon 4 hard with LCCB Ishmael, heavily supported by the great and powerful Wingbeats. I love this ego to death. It is my absolute favorite thing about this game and will only be dethroned by the eventual Queen of Hatred Aleph ego for Don Quixote when her Canto releases. As for the identity itself, she's fine. As long as you have something to help her not obliterate her ammo supply, she is perfectly satisfactory. The Wingbeat strategy is actually really fun when you aren't soloing and relying on a less than stellar identity. I'd highly recommend trying it in a normal team. But anyways, that's it from me. Like and subscribe as to not miss the next run where we'll be using this mysterious fellow. Goodbye.
나만 믿고 다들 집중해줘. 도움이 될 수 있을 거야.
교전 시작합니다.
그래요. 그렇게 가만히 있어요. 상처는 고기는 맛없으니까.
개체의 약점을 정확히 꿰뚫었습니다. 준비를 철저히 했나 보군요.
사실 이런 보모구실은 제가 아니라 세피라들의 역할이긴 하죠. 관리자님도